What's going on, Gig Nation? This is the Gig Accountant. My name is Naz, and I'm a licensed CPA in the state of New Jersey. I'm also a gig economy worker working on food delivery platforms such as Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Postmates. Referral links are down in the description box below if you're interested in signing up for any of those. So Grubhub has been under increased scrutiny as of late due to their practices of charging fees and commissions to restaurants. Now, personally, I don't see too much wrong with or anything unethical with the business practice itself. What there may be something wrong is the folks who are selling the restaurants on the services are not properly disclosing the fees that are involved. But due to this increased level of scrutiny, there are now calls from certain lawmakers to investigate Grubhub regarding their practices, as well as whether they have a monopoly in New York City. So what do you guys think about that? Comment your thoughts down in the comments below. Does Grubhub have a monopoly in New York City? All right. So I wanted to read this article, and the article is from the New York Post. And the title reads, City Council Member Asks AG, Attorney General, for Grubhub Antitrust Investigation. And this article is by Kevin Dugan and Lisa Fickenshire. And it was published in July 11, 2019. A New York City Council member has asked New York Attorney General Letitia James to open an antitrust investigation in Grubhub, the Post has learned. Mark Ganaj, the head of the Council's Committee on Small Business, said that time may have come for AG the Attorney General to revisit the terms of the 2013 settlement agreement that cleared the way for Grubhub's acquisition of Seamless, according to July 2nd letter obtained by the Post. While I am not accusing any entity of committing unlawful acts, I do believe that Grubhub's outsized market share and heavy-handed tactics could lead to artificially reduced competition, which in turn may drive up the commissions paid by struggling locally owned restaurants, Ganaj wrote in the letter. The letter came to light as scrutiny of the online delivery industry's fees on restaurants recently has picked up. In June, the City Council held a hearing on how Grubhub's charged fees as high as 30% for its service and questioned Grubhub executives about the Post reports that the company charged restaurants thousands of dollars in commissions for phone orders that never happened. Okay, I could be wrong about this, but I don't think that the problem was that they charged for phone orders that never happened. The problem was that, or the alleged problem was that they would charge for phone orders or phone calls that did not lead to orders. I could be wrong about that. But anyway, let's continue. The bogus orders are subject for a potential class action lawsuit by a Philadelphia eatery called Tiffin. On Thursday, the Post first reported that New York's Liquor Authority was developing new rules that will significantly curb the deliveries industry's ability to charge double-digit percentages for online ordering and delivery. The news sent Grubhub's shares down 4% to $74 a share on Thursday. Okay, this is something that I have an issue regarding. Okay, so Grubhub's financial condition currently is financially sound. They generate a good profit, but it's not an amazing profit, and it's not an exorbitant profit. The thing about the service that Grubhub provides is that the service is expensive. You have to pay the drivers, you have to pay the support, and you have drivers that are driving a lot of miles. I mean, you could be driving from city to city, town to town, and that is expensive. You have to compensate the drivers for this. And since it's expensive, they are going to charge restaurants fees and commissions for this service. And you can't have it both ways. You can't have low cost for the restaurants and pay the drivers well. So on one end, the restaurants, there is complaints that the restaurants are being charged too high. Okay, but this is a service that the restaurants don't need to engage in. They don't need to get on the platform, right? There are other competition out there. Uber Eats, DoorDash. The alleged problem is that New York City, Grubhub has a monopoly on it. But nationwide, this is not the case. Grubhub, as I recently reported, Grubhub, under certain metrics, has fallen below DoorDash as number one spot in the food delivery platforms. But I think in New York City, Grubhub still retains a over 60% market share. But anyway, you can't have it both ways. You can't have restaurants that are charged cheap fees for the service and then pay the drivers well. So on one end, you'd have the restaurants complaining that they're being charged too much, and on the other end, on the flip side, we'll have the drivers that are complaining that they're not being compensated well enough. And Grubhub, compared to all their competition, generally speaking, from my experience and the majority of others, Grubhub pays the best. And it's not like an exorbitant amount of money, but it is best compared to the competition. So what? You want Grubhub to charge less, pay the drivers less? It seems like they can't win. But it seems like, so if you can't have it both ways, because otherwise the business model just isn't sustainable. You can't have low rates for restaurants and pay the drivers well. It's just not sustainable business. And it may just be, if that's the thought process, that is the belief that are shared by the lawmakers, then no, this business model just is unfortunately not operatable. It's not sustainable. It's not profitable. So hopefully that's not the case. That's not where we're headed. But anyway, let's get back in the article. At the June hearing, antitrust lawyer Gregory Frank testified that Grubhub has substantial monopoly power in the highly concentrated New York City online ordering marketplace and controls as much as 69% of the market based on formula used by the Federal Trade Commission. That size could give Grubhub leverage over the delivery business, which is separate from its ordering business, Frank said. If they're using the monopoly power in the online ordering business to enhance their market power in the delivery business, it seems that could potentially be illegal and be a cause for regulators to be involved, Frank told the Post. A spokesperson for Ganaj's office declined to comment. The Attorney General's office didn't return requests for comment. The notion Grubhub Seamless, quote, and this is a quote, the notion Grubhub Seamless may have engaged in conduct that has reduced competition is simply incorrect, Grubhub said in a statement. We operate in a dynamic, hyper-competitive sector that has changed dramatically in the past few years and will continue to do so. We face intense competition in New York City and throughout the country. The outcome of any potential antitrust investigation may be uncertain, especially as competitors like Uber Eats and Postmates has gained market share in New York. We found consistent Grubhub share loss, if anything, and believe Uber Eats in particular is gaining in New York City, Needham analyst Brad Erickson wrote in a note Thursday. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts too. I think that Grubhub, there is a lot of competition in New York City. Grubhub is losing market share currently. That said, Grubhub is financially sound. They generate a profit, but they're not incredibly profitable. This is a service that is offered to restaurants that is not required for restaurants to get on. They don't need to pay for the service. Grubhub pays their drivers relatively well relative to the other their competition. So you can't really have it both ways. You can't charge restaurants low rates and pay your drivers well. And that's my personal opinion. That's my personal thoughts. But you guys, what do you guys think? Leave your comments and thoughts down in the comments below. Do you think that Grubhub is in the wrong here? Do you think that they have monopoly power in New York City? Do you think that they're charging the restaurants too much? All right, so that's all I got to say about this article. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I am a licensed CPA in the state of New Jersey. I offer accounting services, tax preparation, planning, and consulting work. If you're in the need of any of those, feel free to engage me. My rates are subject to change and at my own discretion, but I currently charge $100 per hour. I want to leave you guys with a quote of the video, quote of the day, and the quote reads, and the quote is from Mahatma Gandhi, and he said, "Be the change that you wish to see in the world." So internalize the change that you want to see and be that change. Be an example to others. All right, so that's all I got to say, guys. So as always, guys, be safe out there. Go earn that money, secure the bag, and have a good one. Peace, guys.